I didn't see that.
And they used to have a little going away ceremony.
Where's
They'd
the
open up,
sausage?
they'd open up their veins.
Says each, yeah.
Play a little music. Da.
This guy gives me a Ritz cracker and chopped liver, and he says can of peas. I says can of peas in my ass. That's a Ritz cracker and chopped liver.
Where's the sausage?
Where's the sausage?
We come down for friendship.
Come to me. Come to me. My daughter's wedding. It was a favor.
Oh, you got a good Brando.
Yeah.
We should put some. We should do a. If you could do a Brando, that'd be great.
I do a great Brando. Brando was in a movie.
I can sit and rock back and forth and go, Papa! Papa!
All right, here we go. Had to redo the weather.
Much better.
Strikes here on Kenosha's radio station, AM 1050 WLIP.
My hot. Good evening and
Welcome to Get Real with Ralph. I am your humble host, Ralph Nudi, coming to you live from the studios of 1050 AM WLIP in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and simulcast live from Kenosha to the Canary Islands and all across the world via our YouTube channel. Just go to getrealwithralph.com. That's getrealwithralph.com. Speaking of islands, a lot of talk about the Epstein Island. As everybody in the news already knows, anybody paying attention to the news, billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell of an apparent, air quote, suicide. Well, I said it back in July on my show, shortly after Epstein was arrested, that he would never be allowed to live to testify. That's right, guys. I nailed it. He just knew too many people. There's no being stuck in the middle here. This lowly piece of human excrement has been preying on young girls for years. The Pedo Express, Epstein's private Boeing 727, had a flight manifest boasting of some of the most important dignitaries in the world, including 2 presidents, a prince, senators, a former Secretary of State, and a very well-known Harvard law professor. Yes, this was a man capable of naming names of very powerful men and corroborating claims made by several victims over the years. This is a man who could sink dynasties, could destroy the reputations and the very lives of the people who have sat at the levers of power. His existence in this world was an abomination. His plea agreement in 2008 a disgrace to our legal system, and his alleged suicide a national disgrace. We'll get to the details later on the show. Also today, we have the very talented Andy as a music guest. And in our studio with us, we have, as always, the incredible Mr. Jim Selovich and Steven Simonovich. We'll get back to the details of the Epstein case and more after our first break.
It's summertime in Kenosha. Here's
Live
what's
read.
happening.
Yep.
The Kenosha County Fair in Wilmot, August 14th through 18th. There's plenty of family fun, delicious food, cold beverages, craft beer in the barrel room, and live music on the Miller Lite Creekside stage. Get your thrills on at the Midway. Daily wristband specials let your
Can't hear myself that well.
Stop by the WLIP broadcast.
Was I turned up enough? I can hardly hear
You
myself.
were fine.
WLIP personalities broadcast
What's that?
live.
You were fine.
Okay.
The fair also features races and power pools at the Wilmot Raceway. For all things Kenosha County Fair, check out WLIP.com.
Hi, are you looking for a home in the Kenosha area? Go to 262kenoshahomes.com. That's our wonderful website by myself, Ralph Nudi, and my partner, Ben Gentile, where you can search all the properties for sale in southeastern Wisconsin. And if you want to know what your home is worth, you can submit an inquiry, and one of the 2 of us will get back to you. You'll never have to worry about having your information sold or being called by a telemarketer. Just the 2 of us and you, and you'll be taken very well care of. That's 262kenoshahomes.com. There's something off. Like I don't hear myself in the middle of saying.
Turn your headphones up.
Everything else is loud. Like I can hear the.
Yeah, it's probably on the board.
No. I can hear the mix. It's just that I'm quieter in the mix.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? Than normal.
I'll
You
turn
sure I
it up.
sounded okay though?
Yeah, it sounded fine.
Okay. And we're back in the studio here at AM 1050 WLIP. This is Ralph Nudi. Get Real with Ralph. In the studio with me today, I have Mr. Jim Selovich. How you doing, Jim?
Hey. Good.
Glad to be back from Florida. That was it was a great vacation, but it's always good to be home.
Right.
How did you hold down the fort here?
Sure.
Also,
Had a nice Sunday night off. It was great.
yeah. Well, you got to have those once in a while.
Yeah.
Also in the studio with us, we have Steve Simonovich, who decided to come and weigh in as he's known for doing. How you doing this evening?
Doing well, Ralph. Thanks for having me aboard.
Thanks for coming. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this Epstein situation. In 2005, the world was introduced to the reclusive billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, friend to princes, American presidents, a power broker who apparently had the darkest of secrets. Jeff Epstein was more than just a wolf in sheep's clothing. He was an absolute monster. He was a pedophile accused of recruiting dozens of underage girls into a sex slave network, buying their silence, and then moving on. And he never faced justice for his trafficking. In 2008, it might have been, it was either 2007 or 2008, I believe the deal was struck in 2008. He had a sweetheart plea agreement where he simply pled guilty to one count, a state count of soliciting a child for prostitution, and then all of the rest of the federal charges went away for him. Not only did they go away for him, but they also went away for any and all co-conspirators, as you can see in the federal documents, which I've posted on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Ralph Nudi. I just posted it right before we came on. And some of the co-conspirators were actually even named and given immunity as part of his plea agreement. Their names were Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, Nadia Marsikova, and, of course, his longtime girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the daughter of the media mogul Robert Maxwell. Maxwell and Kellen were especially troubling. Sarah Kellen was Epstein's former assistant, because they were repeatedly accused in court filings as basically acting as pimps for him. They were recruiting and grooming young girls into their network of child sex workers, and they were also frequently participating in these sex acts with them. Kellen, in particular, was believed by detectives in the Palm Beach Police Department to be so deeply involved that they prepared a warrant for her arrest as an accessory to the molestation and the underage sex with minors. And Maxwell was accused of photographing his victims in poses and then keeping that child pornography on her computer, as well as engaging in acts with them. Just truly, truly, truly disgusting stuff. And I look at this and I don't understand how this guy got away with this the first time around. First of all, I have to say that the prosecutor at the time is now our Secretary of Labor, Alex. The name is Steve. What's Alex's last name? Do you know, Steve?
Off the top of my head, Secretary of Labor.
Secretary of Labor Secretary. They've been asking him about it here in the last few weeks. Boy, it's escaping me now, but the guy needs to be fired. That's the bottom line. I know he's part of the Clinton. I'm sorry, he's part of the Trump cabinet. He has a perfectly long explanation for how they didn't think they had enough to go on, but they gave immunity to absolutely everybody. They let the guy plead guilty in the state court and did a deferred federal prosecution agreement in which he got his hand slapped, did 14 months of house arrest, and then was sent back out to prey on more kids.
We talking about Alex Acosta.
Alex Acosta, thank you very much. Alex Acosta, Labor Secretary. I'm sorry, Alex Acosta, you need to not have a job working for the federal government of the United States of America. And President Trump, if you're hearing this, you need to fire the guy. I'm sorry. I know that your circle of people that are loyal to you seems to be getting smaller. That's just tough bananas. The guy's got to go. This is disgusting. It's disgusting to let somebody like that in your administration. And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you have to hold people on your side of the aisle just as accountable as people on the other side of the aisle. I've been saying since I started this show that this has got to stop being a team sport in this country.
I have to check. I think he was under some heat for some other stuff. And I think they may have asked him to resign. I have to maybe look at that.
Who, Acosta?
See, I don't know if he's in the Trump cabinet at this point in time.
Yeah, he's currently the labor secretary. And he's just offered up plenty of excuses. So, the first thing I want to talk about is what a creep Epstein was.
Oh.
And then we'll get to the suicide or the murder or whatever it is that it is, because I don't believe that this was that happened in a vacuum. I said this 2 or 3 weeks ago on this show. I said that Epstein will never make it to court, that he knows too many people, that he can name names, and that he will probably kill himself in his jail cell. I think that's what I said. I think Jim said he'll probably get Dahmered or something like that, were your exact words. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, it'll be a suicide. Vince Foster was also a suicide. And as I posted on my Facebook page, so is the fictional Frank Pentangeli, who is going to testify against Don Corleone. And they had a little conversation with him about how his family would be taken care of, and he got into a bathtub and he opened up his veins. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about the details surrounding that. But the timeline of this, the timeline of the entire case is just equally disgusting and troubling. I mean, as far back as March 2005, there are accusations. And I have to say, these parents, this child that started this string of allegations, these people are heroes because they stood up to the powerful and they didn't get justice, even though they were heroes. And I hope that more of these heroes come forward and talk. I hope that this immunity agreement can be looked at and that these co-conspirators can be looked at for additional crimes, because I don't think there's such a thing as blanket immunity for any crimes we've ever committed in the past in this country. So I hope the Justice Department figures out how to crack open this case, because these other co-conspirators need to be held accountable. They need their feet held to the fire. Names need to be named. And this entire disgusting, revolting child sex ring needs to be exposed, and everybody in it needs to be exposed as well. And I don't care if it hurts our economy. Right? It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm looking here. It looks like Alex Acosta was actually, he resigned July 12th, 2019, from pressure from the Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, he did resign. All right, well, good. I guess firing isn't an option if you were to resign. This goes back to 2005. They searched his home. They found telephone messages. They found basically a Rolodex with girls labeled massage, and he had these women working for him, going and getting these girls, recruiting them to massage him, and then he would slowly up the ante and groom them for further and further disgusting things, and then pay them, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars to underage children. I don't know how they did that, whether they did it by check, whether they did it by cash. And then the man goes free.
He's got a lot of money.
Yep, he's a billionaire. The judge in this case also, I would say hero, the judge denied him any kind of bond because they were trying to make the case, well, he could be on house arrest awaiting trial, and that he's not a flight. You have your own island. You have your own Boeing 727. You have billions of dollars that the world knows about. How many millions of dollars you probably have hidden in cash and boxes all over the place? The ability to probably change your appearance, change your name, change who you are. The man would have probably disappeared on house arrest. Let's face it, he would have. The judge did the right thing. And here we are now being robbed of justice anyway. May 2007. 53-page indictment prepared by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and simultaneously plea negotiations are initiated by his legal team. There needs to be a congressional investigation of this plea agreement. These girls need to be called to testify. The ones that are being given immunity, they might have been given immunity, but they're not immune from testifying before Congress. They're not immune from testifying before the Senate. Brian Stile called in here about a month ago about the human trafficking bill that he got behind, where they're going after the financial networks. I would really like to talk to him. I tried to get him on the show today, but there was the scheduling wouldn't work out. He needs to really start screaming from the rooftops, because he's our congressman. We need a congressional inquiry. If you're listening to this show and you live in southeastern Wisconsin, you need to call him. You need to ask for that congressional inquiry. This bill that he co-sponsored, this bill needs to go through. It needs to get signed, and they need to look at giving bills with even more teeth in it. If you're trafficking children, it should be at least as bad as trafficking drugs, where any sort of money that you have that can be connected, any sort of assets, can be completely seized by the federal government. I'm sure the government could use an additional Boeing 727. What do you think, Jim?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, you know, if the government doesn't know what to do with it, call me. I think we could probably find someone to put some Get Real with Ralph decals on it, and maybe I can rent it out. What do you think?
I like that idea.
Or
Let's travel the road. Let's take this thing on the road.
or you know, seriously, maybe give it to Operation Underground Railroad, so they can go conduct their operations all over the world, as they have been doing, and have it. That would be my vote. Give that to Tim Ballard and the Underground Railroad guys.
There you go.
So they can go there and fly to wherever they need to fly and get done what they need to get done. Somehow there needs to be some further justice in this.
I agree.
Then in 2008, after his plea agreement, after the victims learn about it, they filed an emergency petition. They tried to force the federal prosecutors to comply with the Federal Crime Victims' Rights Act, which they didn't do, which mandates certain rights for victims, including the right to be informed about plea agreements and the right to appear at sentencing, because they weren't given that. When you're stolen from, you have that right. These are people these are children and parents of children who were raped by a pedophile, and they find out that he's already been sent to jail and that the investigation is over and shut down.
What was the how were these kids getting to this island? What was the
On his little plane.
yeah, I get that, but how do you get away from your parents and your everyday life as a child
I'm sleeping over
with
at
this monster's house?
I'm sleeping over. Jenny says she's sleeping over at Lisa's house, and Lisa says she's sleeping over at Jenny's house, because they're going to get on a little airplane and fly from Miami to an island in the Caribbean that's about a half-an-hour jet plane ride away,
we have parents
where they're going to
with
get to go play.
with that laxed of a
Right.
Oh, you haven't met my ex-wife. She used to. I'm serious. My
think
son
I
would tell
have.
her that he's going out, and she would text him at like midnight. Hey, are you coming home? You're spending the night. Yeah, there's terrible parents out there. Even to my own children, there's a terrible parent out there. So I'm not surprised.
wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you about. I literally found out that my son was hanging out in a drug house at 16 years old because his mother gave him zero accountability. So why would this be surprising?
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents that are permissive, and they think they're doing the right thing because that's the whole PC culture, that you're supposed to let your kids spread their wings and make their own decisions and grow a little bit on their own and make a little bit of their own mistakes. And the next thing you know, your child is on an island being raped by a billionaire.
Is there like an older friend that these kids had, and then they were with this older friend,
Yes,
and then they're promised some kind of a paradise? We're going to
Yes,
go away
yes.
for a few days.
His assistants, these women that work for him, would groom these girls.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to get on a private plane. You're going to fly to an island. You know, Our boss, Jeff, likes to get massages. That's all just a massage, and they'll pay you. So these girls are getting a little cash in their pocket. $500 to give a rub down. Maybe 15 for a rub and tug. I don't know. I don't know how that works from there. It's, and these girls are 15. These girls are innocent. They're as innocent as any 15-year-old. They're innocent, but they're curious, I'm sure. Right? I mean, that's...
They're 15.
They're 15. I was innocent, but...
They want to do different things.
Yeah, they get,
They want to,
all you have to do with a teenager is make them feel like you're going to treat them like a grown-up.
Right. Act like you're their friend, and then...
Yeah, you get to get on a private plane with all the big shots. And by the way, you're going to get to meet Prince Andrew, or President Clinton. 22 times President Clinton was on Epstein's plane. Now, I have to say, in fairness, President Trump was also on his plane once in 1997, and it wasn't to go to Epstein Island. It was to go from one place domestically to another place domestically. So, and there were some accusations that were made, and I have no idea if they're true or not. If they're true, they're disgusting. Okay,
right.
And that's going to lead me down a whole another dark path to these conspiracy theorists, these QAnon people. Do you know about these people?
No.
We'll go down that rabbit hole next, because if I go down that one right now,
I know about
I won't
a
come
few,
back up.
but not all of them.
One of his former butlers tried to sell an undercover FBI agent a black book filled with the names of hundreds of girls and young women that he had already allegedly procured for sex and massages. The butler told the undercover agent that he witnessed nude underage girls at his pool and that he knew that the millionaire was sleeping with them. He also saw pornography involving underage girls on Epstein's computer. This guy's name, Alfredo Rodriguez, was later charged with obstruction of justice and sent to federal prison. And then guess what happened to him? He died.
I was just about to say, he's still alive?
Nope, he's not still alive.
So I was waiting for that to come.
Right.
And the contents of the Black Book have now become public as part of several lawsuits, because there were lawsuits filed, there was discovery done, there were depositions given. There is a lot of evidence already out there. This isn't like a whodunit. We know who done it. We know who the victims are. We know that the maid did it with the candlestick in the library. I probably should have used a different weapon. Okay, did it with the
It's continuing.
This is the game
The gun.
Clue we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clue, the game Clue, exactly. This isn't like Clue.
Colonel Mustard.
Yeah, Colonel Mustard. Yeah. You said Colonel Mustard, I thought of President Trump. I don't know why, but maybe it's like
hair, yellow, orange. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we have to laugh a little, but this is really, really troubling. I don't know what other word to use. I've lost sleep over this. I don't lose sleep over many national issues. 2011. Two of his victims filed a motion in federal court accusing the government of violating their rights by failing to notify them about the plea deal and keeping it a secret. Among other things, they want the plea deal invalidated in the hopes of sending Epstein to prison, and they accuse the federal prosecutors of deceiving them with false notification letters. In 2011, U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara rejects the U.S. Attorney's Office argument that it was under no obligation to notify them prior to striking the non-prosecution agreement with Epstein because there were no federal charges filed against him. This decision ends up marking a victory for his victims, but the case keeps dragging on for 7 more years until we get to where we are now. So sure, he registers as a sex offender in New York when he goes back. A level 3 status, high risk of repeat offense and a threat to public safety exists. But yeah, this guy gets to walk around. Here's why, and I believe this. It's not because of the money. It's because of the list.
The knock list. It's like,
His travel manifest.
yeah.
Okay, Alan Dershowitz. All right, this guy is a lying sack of bananas as well. All right, Dershowitz said, well, he only flew with his wife on Epstein's plane for fundraisers and a bunch of other stuff. Turns out that's not true at all. Dershowitz was on a travel manifest without his wife being on the travel manifest, and with these co-conspirators, these women that are that have been grooming, and with girls that are just identified by their first name only. to Pedo Island,
Yeah.
his little Caribbean, whatever he thinks it is, his paradise
This
of
island is
disgusting.
in the Virgin Island area, right?
It's in the Virgin Island area,
Right.
yes.
And they called it Pedo Island and Orgy Island.
Epstein Island, yeah, whatever you want to name it.
So wait a minute, so Dershowitz was on this plane without his wife.
Without his wife, with the co-conspirators, with Epstein, and with several girls that were named only by their first name.
I'm not gonna look at him the same anymore.
I will never look at him the same. And you know what? I was looking into this case before, but not deeply enough. And I thought there was going to be time to really kind of look into this and dig into it. Because I really got my eyes woke to what's going on with human trafficking this year. Really, February, I saw the Operation Underground's documentary, Operation Toussaint. I started watching, I started digging. I had heard rumblings of this Epstein character, but I really didn't dig into it until my heart was really touched by this.
This happened in 2011 with Dershowitz?
No, this stuff, Dershowitz started flying around with him in the 1990s.
Oh,
and it continued all the way on.
All the way on, okay.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on the Epstein Island.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe he bought her a... never mind. I'm not even going to go there because
Don't go there.
I don't.
Don't.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
No, we don't know exactly what. I know, obviously, the guy's a piece of crap.
I'm sure not every single flight on that plane and
had
not
to do with that because he was still a businessman.
Yeah, you're still a billionaire. You don't become a billionaire if you don't focus time on what you do.
Right.
He was a power broker.
When was Hillary at the island?
I don't know the year. I got to look that back
Okay.
up. I mean, there were so many facts that my husband's swimming. I was literally driving back from Florida with my family in the car through the night because I like driving better at night. We drove straight through and listening to YouTube videos about this to brush up on this on my way here because I just knew that I wanted to tackle this issue head on.
Was Bill with Hillary?
You mean the 22 times that he went?
Yeah. Well.
No.
So,
The time that she went?
She went. Yeah.
I really don't even know that.
Okay.
It could have been fundraising. It could have been whatever it happened to be.
She was there at least 6 times.
6 times.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at. Bill was there more than 20 times.
And then Acosta ends up getting named as Secretary of Labor. And I don't know. Was it just a case of the president not doing his homework on this case? I really don't know.
I mean, when you're dealing with billionaires and dealing with people who are going to give you money for your election, I mean, a lot of people don't ask for a lot of.
Well, this is Acosta he named, not
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So then in February 19, the federal judge that was overseeing this Mara character, ruled that the federal prosecutors overseeing the Epstein sex abuse case violated the law by concealing from his underage victims the existence of the plea deal that shielded Epstein from federal charges. Concealing that deal violated the 2004 Crime Victims' Right Act, a statutory bill of rights for victims of federal crimes. Now here's the question. Does that mean the immunity granted to the co-conspirators is null and void as well?
Good question.
His indictment was given on July 2nd. And then he was arrested. We all know what happened there. You're right. Acosta stepped out on July 12th. I don't know how I missed that. There's just so many pieces of this moving puzzle that it's hard to get. On the 18th, he was denied bail. I think about that next weekend when he got denied bail. That's when we were talking about him, getting shanked in prison. You know what? I would feel better if he actually got shanked by somebody who hated him for being a pedophile. I would actually be okay with that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm not okay with the fact that he was killed to keep his mouth shut,
Right.
or that he killed himself, or that he killed maybe he killed himself, but it was still because he was compelled to kill himself.
Maybe.
I believe that. I believe he killed himself. I do. I believe that he is the person who did the deed. The question is, what would he promised? Who promised it to him, and why? And
Does he have heirs?
He's got a girlfriend.
That's it? Doesn't have kids or like family members to pass down his wealth?
I don't know if he has kids or not.
I heard today that there is a pending lawsuit that is
Can
going to
you
go on
imagine?
from one of the accusers
Yeah.
for his estate.
This island should be turned. You know what? This island should be confiscated by the federal government and turned into a retreat and recovery center for victims of
Great
trafficking.
idea.
Seriously.
Great idea.
You know, if this island is another country's island, then we just need to send our military there and say, hey, we're taking it by force. He bought it from you anyway. What are the tax revenue he's paying for the next 20 years? Here it is paid up front.
Yeah.
Kiss off. The island now belongs to the United States government. It's like our new Guantanamo Bay, but a good Guantanamo for victims. But if his wealth gets to stay in place and go to somebody else after all that, that's truly a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything like
Then, just a couple of days ago, one of the victims who had filed the lawsuit, this Virginia Guthrie, named two prominent Democratic politicians, George Mitchell and Bill Richardson, the ex-New Mexico governor, and said that they raped her.
Wow.
So I'll never look at Bill Richardson the same either.
Yeah.
And I smell Slick Willie in here somewhere. I just
You know how the presidents are. They're
22
protected. I don't
visits
think-
to that island. 22.
Yeah, what was he doing?
Is
there?
that one for each year of age that a girl has to be under for him to be
Was
tried?
he working on his
Well,
tan?
we don't know. Donald Trump's been there too.
No, he's never been to the island.
Well, says here.
Oh, he's been
a long
accused of
time
it. Oh yeah,
acquaintance.
I've read it. He's been accused of being to the island, but when you go to the manifest,
When you're a billionaire and you're dealing with politics, I mean, you're going to know a lot.
Well, Trump in 2011 did kick him out of Mar-a-Lago.
he did kick him out of Mar-a-Lago. But he also a couple years earlier said, "Oh, he's a great guy, and he
Well, he
likes
calls
he
everybody
likes
a great
beautiful
guy.
women,
He
especially
calls
the young
everybody
ones." You know, and here's what this is just my opinion, and I could be completely wrong. I think that Trump is your typical everyday pig. You know what I mean by that? He's a womanizer. He likes them young. We all know that. And so, you know, here he is hanging around with another guy who's also a pig, right? And then I think maybe somewhere along the line he realized this guy's more than a pig. This guy's
Yeah, he's not
You know,
just the
yeah.
guy
And,
that
you
wants
know,
to.
because I personally know people that are womanizing kind of guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't dig children.
Right.
Not on that level. You know, they might be womanizers. They're definitely not marriage material. And that doesn't make them good people when it comes to relationships or how they treat women. And I think it's wrong. I think that the current president of the United States is a womanizing jerk off when it comes to that stuff. I do. But that leads me back to this conspiracy website out there. It's QAnon. And we're going to talk a little bit about that after the break and dig into their theories and whether right or not, how they kind of line up with these recent events. Back in a moment on Get Real with Us. Told you I had a lot of material.
That's good.
Yeah, go right down the timeline.
But now I'm going to go to the QAnon.
So you actually think he killed himself?
Yeah, I think he
We,
killed
we,
himself.
need, we need to dive into protocol and all that stuff. Because,
Yeah, some guy saying that he was taken off duty and somebody in a uniform, an unmarked van
Yeah.
came in and
Yep.
took over.
Well,
I'm
I heard-
going to go with the QAnon conspiracy first, and then when I get to about 15 till, if you can kind of remind me we're getting close, I'm going to wrap that up with the being killed part, okay? And the Bill Barr and all that.
Yeah, because maintenance. There's some maintenance done to one of the
Yeah,
cells. What the? Why now? Maintenance? Can't you wait? This is a high profile.
Well, he was on suicide watch and taken off suicide watch without the proper protocol being filed. The guards were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes and didn't throughout the night because they had worked 5 overtime days in a row.
I just,
There's all this other BS with that. Should I throw our phone number out on this?
I would probably get some people
Okay.
talking and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, so see what you can get. That'd be
I
cool.
just hate throwing out and having nobody call.
Well,
And then I feel
we
like
just don't.
people know
We
nobody's
don't
listening.
concentrate on that though. I mean,
Got
we
it.
throw it out there. Let's
Yeah.
not make. Don't be looking at the phone. Don't be thinking, oh,
Yeah,
nobody's
just
calling.
say if you want to chime
If you
in.
want to join the conversation, give us a call.
And you're able to answer and actually talk to them before they come on, right? Kind of. If you meet your mic.
Sort of.
All right.
Radio Noir.
That means no budget.
Hey, when everything gets moved out, if we keep this here, I'm gonna put a window right there. This will be the control room.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Hey, I'm talking to my buddy about buying AM. I'm not kidding.
All right. Good.
I'll buy it.
Buying the AM
Or
station
be full time.
Oh,
from Alpha. Keeping it here. I'm trying. Would that be cool or what? If we did that, I'll be looking for an FM license. Though, next.
You'd be saving the radio station.
I know.
he's a
It's like SaveOurStation.com.
See if we get an accent. So I swear not.
I need a mill. Hey, I need a mill.
a million.
I need a million.
It'd be hard to find
Okay,
something.
keep that off the airwaves and in this room.
Hopefully my Bitcoin goes up.
Huh?
Maybe if my Bitcoin goes up.
One of your horses wins a Kentucky Derby.
That's a bigger
Huh?
question mark. You know, I,
You got a better chance of your Bitcoin going up.
I had a horse run today. It ran dead last. I
Mostly
was down
cloudy
there earlier.
skies overnight tonight, low around to 68 for tomorrow Monday, mostly cloudy skies. Highs near 79. Monday night, mostly cloudy, low 68. Sunny skies on Tuesday, high near 77. Weather twice an hour or when severe weather strikes here on Kenosha's radio station, AM 1050 WLIP.
And we're back on the airwaves here at AM 1050 WLIP or GetRealWithRalph.com. We're talking about the alleged suicide of Jeffrey Epstein in studio here with our panelists here, Jim Selovich and Steve Simonovich. That's a lot of itching going on.
Yeah.
A lot of Serbs happening in here, buddy.
A lot of Serbs.
A lot of Serb action.
A lot of Serb action. And before the break, I was talking about this conspiracy website, QAnon. And, well, before that, listen, if you want to weigh in on this subject, 262-694-1050. We'll open up the phone lines and take a couple of calls, but please make sure that you keep it relevant to the issue if you call in. That's 262-694-1050. Anyway, I was talking about the QAnon conspiracy site, and a lot of people don't know about it. That's QAnon, QAnon. You can look it up on Google, or better yet, look it up on DuckDuckGo. Forget about Google. Well, that's a different show. Look it up on DuckDuckGo, QAnon, and you'll see that this group has made a lot of predictions. And one of the predictions that they made when President Trump got elected was that President Trump became aware of an international pedophile cult. That was one of the conspiracy theories. And that he was going to bring them all to justice. And that is his main focus, and that it was an international cult. Now we can jump to the Epstein thing. We got Prince Andrew, afraid to bring him up. He's been to Epstein Island enough times, and he's accused. One of the accusers has said that he was one of the people that this girl's handler, this girl's groomer, made her have sex with. All right, so not just he's on the island, but he's accused by a victim of having sex on that island. All right, so we got this international group, according to this QAnon, of pedophiles that are basically having ritualistic practices and believe in some sort of, the whole new world order, world domination type thing, and that they're doing this as like some sort of sacrificial ritual. And I mean, some of it is pretty far-fetched, but that President Trump became awake to this, and that became his mission in life, is to break that up and to break up this globalism and start to push the United States on its own path of nationalism, not to be confused with this white nationalist movement, but actually, having our country fight to keep its sovereignty as a world government tries to come in and impede on all of us with things like EPA regulations and trade agreements, and so they have this conspiracy theory about all this stuff that is all ties back to this sex trafficking thing. Sounds far-fetched. And not all of this QAnon guy or QAnon person, we don't even know who his prediction is coming through. This was an anonymous person who's putting out these little videos and these little excerpts. And I encourage all of you out there to look it up and see what they're saying. Yes, it's a conspiracy theory. No, I'm not typically a conspiracy theorist. But I am going to read a short article from The Intelligencer by Max Reed that was written shortly after Epstein was arrested this time around, but before he was killed. And the article is, "So Was QAnon Right?" And here's the article. Over Independence Day weekend, as most of the rest of us set off fireworks and grew it at cookouts, a cadre of conspiracy obsessives awaited the fulfillment of a message board prophecy. In its broadest strokes, QAnon, as the expansive and complicated theory to which these people have dedicated their energy is known, claims that a group within the federal government has been conducting a secret investigation into a network of elite pedophiles. On the 4th of July, or maybe on the 5th, depending on which version of the theory you subscribe to, with the nation watching, John F. Kennedy Jr., who faked his own death 20 years ago this month, would reveal himself, and then QAnon interpreter Will Summers puts it, team up with Trump to ship a huge number of top Democrats off to Guantanamo Bay for their participation in these global child sex rings. Of course, this wild theory turned out to be bogus. They got the date wrong. July 4th and 5th both passed without incident. It wasn't until July 6th that the feds handed out an indictment over a global underage sex trafficking ring implicating U.S. presidents, heads of government, top lawyers, world-famous actors, and a member of the English royal family. And to be fair, JFK Jr. didn't emerge from hiding. Otherwise, though, the Saturday arrest of the well-connected financier and convicted sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein on one count of sex trafficking and one count of conspiracy to commit sex trafficking went a long way toward fulfilling the QAnon prediction and therefore raising a troubling question. Did QAnon turn out to be kind of, well, right? Epstein, the federal indictment alleges, created a vast network of underage victims for him to sexually exploit, often on a daily basis. He's said to have groomed girls as young as 14 in his mansions in New York and Palm Beach, and alleged to have forced them to have sex with the powerful people who ran in his circles. One woman says she was coerced to have sex with both super lawyer Alan Dershowitz and the Prince of Wales' younger brother, Prince Andrew. President Bill Clinton, as the right-wing press is fond of pointing out, was a frequent guest on Epstein's jet, which was apparently nicknamed the Lolita Express by the locals on the U.S. Virgin Islands hideaway, where Epstein allegedly hosted orgies. And that's the whole article, but that's the majority of it. That is again from the Intelligencer by Max Reed. So, I think that conspiracy theories in general sometimes have a shred of truth or reality to them.
Absolutely.
And
I
then
agree.
and then people's minds spin out of control.
Absolutely.
They take a shred, and sometimes it's more than a shred. So it leaves me wondering, how is it that some whacked out conspiracy theory group years ago, right around or during and after the Trump election, started predicting that a Trump government was going to crack down on a child sex ring, and then the Trump administration cracks down on the child sex ring that previously during the Obama administration had been given a sweetheart deal. So I can see where all the pieces line up, and conspiracy theorists' eyes are going to start to like bulge out of their heads, and they're going to say, "Oh my God, but is he kind of right?" I think the article brings a good question, and that leads us to this: Jeff Epstein is dead. Now, Bill Barr, the Attorney General, in a written and in a verbal statement, says that he's absolutely outraged that this could have been allowed to happen, and he immediately launched an FBI investigation and an Inspector General investigation into this. This could be perceived as one of two ways. If you're involved in a conspiracy, and something like that happens, and you want to make sure that people don't think you're involved, you're going to say, this is an outrage, right? If you're not involved and you're outraged, you're going to say, this is an outrage. So I imagine the Twitter sphere is probably lighting up with people on both sides of that argument right now. You know, you got the QAnon people saying, see, Bill Barr's outraged because now their plans got derailed to round up all these people. Maybe that's true. Conspiracy theorists on the other side are going to say, yeah, this guy's saying this is an outrage. That's the same thing any guilty person would say. But no matter how you slice it, a billionaire pedophile who is a power broker, who we pretty much know has set up the ability for very powerful men and apparently women to engage in pedophilia and can name names, was put on suicide watch after they found bruises on his neck, and allegedly he said not in all the media, but in some of the sources, that he believes someone tried to kill him in his sleep. That was his excuse for the bruises on his neck in some reports. I don't know if that's true or not, but there are a couple of reports that say that. But either way, the guy is on suicide watch and then taken off suicide watch without the proper protocols even being followed to be taken off suicide watch, and then is left unattended in his cell in a prison in which the proper protocol is bed checks every 30 minutes. And the excuse is, well, these guards had 5 days of overtime and they were tired and they didn't check up on him. If he's on suicide watch, it'd be every 15, and it's in an elevated cell that you can see into all the way around, and the bed has no sheets, and the bed is bolted down, and there's all kinds of other precautions taken. So why was he taken off suicide watch? And then after he was taken off suicide watch, why was he not checked on every 30 minutes? And the third piece is there are surveillance cameras in there,
Right.
but they don't go inside the cell, so there's no footage of him actually dying or being killed or how he died.
Which I find that strange.
But that is how those jails are set up, because they don't want to violate the privacy rights of inmates.
But if you're on suicide watch.
But he wasn't on suicide watch.
But he was taken off.
Right, but
so
even
who makes that
so,
decision?
even being, according to, I don't want to say it's the Bureau of Prisons, but according to the reports in the media, he shouldn't have been. The proper procedure wasn't followed for him to be taken off suicide watch. So even if that screw up happened, he's still supposed to be checked on every 30 minutes. And then so this is not one mistake. This is way too many, what's the word I'm looking for? Coincidences. That's it. This is way too many coincidences.
If you did a poll, Ralph, on do you think Jeffrey Epstein was either murdered or committed suicide?
262-694-1050. I want to know if you think it was a murder or suicide, please.
I think it's going to be 75-25. He was murdered.
And I'll run one on the Facebook page tomorrow as well. Because there's no... Well, here's the thing, though. They do have a camera on the cell door. And there's no footage of anybody entering or exiting his cell.
Okay. Maybe he was given something to drink.
No, he hung himself.
Okay. That's right. He hung himself. Yeah. So he hung himself.
Colonel Mustard did it in the library with the gun.
Bed sheets?
I mean, we know
was
that.
it bed sheets?
Yeah.
Which they probably gave back to him after they took him off suicide.
Right.
Right. So he was sleeping on a metal.
So it was basically here you go. Here you go.
Yeah.
Take you off suicide watch. Go ahead, do yourself in.
Either they figured out how to have some fake footage of a doorknob,
which is very possible.
Well, it's very possible. I mean, this is
You see photos online too
probable.
of the dead body that doesn't match up to his body. As far as like,
Well, I think the one body. I think the photo of him.
The
was
coroner.
younger.
The coroner is already saying that he can't completely rule a suicide yet. So he's been identified by the coroner.
Yeah.
Now, you think they'll hurry up and cremate him too? That would be next, right?
Who knows?
Might be cooking right now.
Or be given a watery grave like Osama bin Laden. I mean, you don't really think that they're going to keep this body for a long period of time. Yeah. This body's going to go away. He's not going to get buried and be able to be re-exhumed or re-examined. He's going to disappear. And then there'll be the conspiracy theories that have already started, that you already alluded to, that they faked his death.
Well, for everybody,
he bought his way out.
Can't Attorney Barr say, hey,
He's conducting an IG
we
investigation.
need, we need to do.
If Epstein's body disappears, I will say bars in on it. Okay, that's my thing. If his body stays around to be preserved, I'd say.
We do have
no.
a caller. We got time to take it. We're 5 minutes to start talking.
You're on Get Real with Ralph. How are you?
Hello, you're live on the air. Hello. There you are. There. Now
We
I
can hear you now. What's your name and where are you from? Hey, Mark. What do you think? So you're part of the hashtag Clinton body count camp. I can see where that can be believable to some people.
There is a big list.
It's a very big list, but the list has gotten whittled down by a lot of experts. I think that there have definitely been more people attributed to the list than could be possibly true. All right, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
Okay, chalk went up for
Chalk one up for murder.
75%. Right,
Yeah. Well, right now we're at 100%.
Yeah.
So, if his body isn't produced, then I'm really going to be suspicious. If they just hurry up and do the autopsy, give the conclusions. But the coroner's already saying he has doubts, so that tells me they're going to look into it. So, if he wasn't murdered, he was allowed to commit suicide.
Right.
There's no other explanation other than he was allowed to commit
Right.
suicide.
Here's your sheets back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, and any Godfather fans out there, all right, you probably saw the picture that I posted on my Facebook page. If you did, if you didn't, go like my page, facebook.com/Ralph Nudi. I got a picture of Frank Pentangeli and Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, I usually don't commit suicide, but when I do, it's at the request of Don Clinton.
We got another call. We can take this one for top of your.
All right, you're on Get Real with Ralph. Who's calling? Name and tell. This is Jim. How are you? Those would be my great aunts. Those are my grandfather's sisters. Yeah, we just lost him this February, Jim. Yes, sir. That's correct. That would be my family. That is a pretty vivid memory. Yeah, that was my great Aunt Mary. That's correct.
Holy cow!
Wow, Jim, that you got a mind like a steel trap. What do you think of the death of Jeff Epstein? The death of Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think it was a murder or a suicide? All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in. We're going to be coming up to the. He just passed away. He was 83. I'm sorry, he was 86. He was 86. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We just. Well, I like your jokes too.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
Thanks for the call, Jim. We're going to the top of the hour break.
We'll be right back.
Thank you. He didn't even know why he was calling.
Nice guy.
Nice
Yeah,
guy.
Nudi. Yeah. Okay.
Now you gotta tell your Aunt Mary, hey, this guy called it.
Them boys was whacking into my trailer. That's what he sounded like, the guy from
they had old chair in the teacher.
Are you going to do a live break again next hour or no?
A what?
And San
live
Francisco
read?
didn't take long for conspiracy theories to appear on
no.
social media following the apparent
No.
suicide death
Okay.
of wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein, who's being held in
Talking
federal
about
prison
the
in New
news.
York on allegations
All right,
of
so
sex
what we'll do is I'll
trafficking.
come back, we'll wrap up the subject, I'm going to get her, and then we'll have her play. That way we can change gears.
President Trump retweeted this
Yeah,
video from
the
a conservative
memes
commentator.
on. I don't know if you saw the live posted, but the Scooby Doo thing.
Oh,
It is so. These memes are.
when they tear off it.
Yeah,
You know, it's like-
these things are so hilarious.
Yeah. I like the one for
There's so many. I mean,
for their claws.
I'll have to see it.
Yeah.
But like you make a good point about the camera. I mean, you always see in these movies, why not in real life, where they cut the footage and whatever. Yeah, that could definitely happen. Where
Alright,
yeah,
so just hang out here for a minute.
you move out of the way so we can get the live.
Yeah, you don't have to shift just yet because we're gonna come in. We're gonna talk about
Oh, are
this
we?
subject for like maybe like five
Okay.
more minutes,
All right.
and then I'm gonna introduce Andy. Andy, A-N-D-I-I, right?
My children.
Alright, and then we're gonna have you step right up to that microphone. As a matter of fact, let's get you a headset here. So
Yeah.
I need a splitter.
Here's a problem with extension cords.
Renaissance Fair
House
today.
on fire and flames spread quickly.
You were playing at the Renaissance Fair?
I just work there. I don't work there.
You worked there, huh? Where do you work?
I work for one of the.
And you're not a strolling minstrel or anything?
No, no.
I like to throw tomatoes at that dude over there.
Oh, they're hilarious. They're part of us.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there's a place, what's it called?
Yeah, I always thought it'd be cool if they just opened up like one street of it at Christmas time and had like a Christmas market.
That'd be fantastic.
Some
Wouldn't it?
sheets
Like all
in the sheets. Or
like a Chris Kindle mart almost, but like
Sure.
a
It's
medieval
over by
one.
the big ship.
I love it.
Go to get some drinks over there. Know a
Like
couple of
the old English feast that they have, you know, the trumpet singers, like you could have them even come out like
Like,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
her father.
The pasta.
Protection head Mark Morgan says.
Oh,
the girl was
my
upset.
kid, I don't think we talked after my kid nailed it as little Simba.
Little Simba?
Oh my god, he was so
Nice.
freaking good.
Timing of the rain.
Could not believe it. I mean, I could believe it, but I couldn't.
Just hours before the
Little
Andy, you
Simba.
want some water or anything?
Yeah, they did the Lion King musical at
Really?
Bradford.
Okay, you go to that
He
room.
was,
Like you're
Okay,
talking
wait,
about
he was a little
Simba,
lion
you
cub Simba.
climb
and
over shit.
you get my
The
son Gabriel
last room
played
before you get to the doors.
So he had to sing,
There's cups,
you know, I
and
just
then
can't wait
there's
to be
like- there's a
king.
little water fountain
'Cause I
underneath.
just
Yes, you can.
On the right side.
On the right side, yep.
You did a good
Yeah,
job.
oh, he did a great job. He did a Hakuna Matata. And when they do Hakuna Matata, he goes behind the curtain and the big Simba comes out. Hakuna Matata!
I remember that, yeah.
Oh,
I haven't
did,
seen
did
the
you
new
find
one.
it?
I gotta see the new Lion King. I haven't seen it yet. I got the old one in my head.
Yeah.
Cartoon from the
song,
90s.
A Wee Moet.
Oh,
That is supposed. That was actually written by this man in South Africa.
yeah.
This black.
I'm having a midlife renaissance.
In the
So we're
jungle,
good. I'm not quite 50 yet.
the
Yes, we're not
jungle,
really
the
solid.
lion sleeps tonight. Hey, hey. That's actually a really cool song. It's so
a great-
different.
It's a great tune from South Africa back in the early '60s,
Yeah.
late '50s, early '60s.
We did it in a variety show. I had 4 big dudes dressed up like Tarzan, and Sam goes, "Wimbo it, oh wimbo it, oh wimbo."
I don't even know what they're
And
saying.
I wore a little safari hat and had a little whip, and I go, I'm on my
All right,
way.
we got 3 minutes here.
3 minutes. It was a lot of fun.
Ralph was getting into that one.
Feeling it.
That was good.
You gotta have fun.
Yeah.
We had such a heavy subject here the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, could you hear it out there?
Yeah.
Don't be going on any islands.
I was checking them every now.
Are
She's
you?
over 18. She's
Okay.
alright.
Well, you still don't want to go on that island.
And
Not that one.
Not that one.
There's plenty of other ones.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. Basically, I'm gonna close up the subject. Then we'll introduce Andy. We'll play Andy play 3 songs. We'll chat back and forth with her, and then we'll go into who's our featured artist on the whose birthday is it?
Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson. So then we'll go to that. You gotta tell me what song Joe Jackson song you're playing, so I can pretend I know what I'm talking about.
Is she really going out with him? It's great. Tune.
Oh, is she really going out with him? Is she really going to take him?
Hey, it's pretty good over there.
Eyes don't see it. Oh.
What a weird song to be playing. Is she really flying on
No,
that
see,
plane?
you bring it there. You don't have to bring it there.
I know, but my mind is stuck on that subject.
I know it is.
And it's trying to give a really bad subject some levity. Is she really getting on his plane? And we're back here in the studios of AM 1050 WLIP. This is Get Real with Ralph, simulcast on YouTube at getrealwithralph.com. And we're in the studio with Jim Selovich.
That's me.
Steve Simonovich.
Hey.
And we're talking Epstein today. We're also going to be introducing our musical guest, Andy, here in a few minutes. Wanted to just put some closing thoughts together and wrap up this subject. Obviously, we went from the beginning of the case all the way down to the death, and my opinion on that. And I really feel that he's the one that did the deed. I do. I think that the evidence will come out that he's the one that did the deed. But I am not sure that it wasn't because of outside influence. The jury's out on that. I think there's a very strong possibility that this suicide was a result of being orchestrated by one of his co-conspirators, one of his victims. It was done in an effort to protect somebody else, and as a result, somebody close to him was getting a reward because it was either that or some people are going to fall. And I hope that this immunity deal is stripped away from all the co-conspirators. I hope they all get called onto the carpet. I truly hope that this does not get swept under the rug. This is too important of a case. There are too many people who have too much power that have been too involved for this case to be allowed to die. I'm holding the media responsible for actually staying on this. They want to talk about every single shooting out there as if it's an epidemic that's striking our entire country. Whether you believe that or not, that's one thing. This is a single conspiracy ring here that is harming our children purposefully.
My money, Ralph, is, I was talking to Jim during the break, I think they switched the tape. I think they went in there, they choked him out, they stuck him up on, they hung him. I think he was murdered.
If that's the case, and his body's still around, I think the autopsy will show that, and it'll be found out.
If we have an autopsy.
It'll be found out. If his body disappears, if he's cremated, if he's dumped at the sea, if there's anything other than actual physical proof that can be linked to photos, everything else, so they know it's him, which, I mean, heck, that could even be fake. If they can fake a moon landing, supposedly they can fake that. Then I'll be with you on that. I will. And that's that subject. All right. We're going to move on to something a little lighter here. All right. So we have with us a very sweet, special musical guest here. She's got one name, kind of like Cher, but she's Andy. Hi, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Hey.
How are you?
Welcome to the program. And you are our musical relief from all of that ails us in the world today. So
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
I hope you have some happy tunes, because we're going to need some after all that darkness.
I kind of do, yeah.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a native of Milwaukee.
Yeah, born and raised in Milwaukee.
Okay.
I've been doing music for about 10 years, but maybe more 5 or 6 seriously. I've been playing around. So.
How did you get started?
I got started when I was around 15 years old. I've got a bunch of other stuff health-wise going on, and one of the things I found out was that I was likely going to lose my hearing kind of early on, maybe in like my 40s, and so I decided that if I was going to do music, I kind of had a limited amount of time to do it.
If I was told I had a limited number of years to have my hearing, I would probably, music would become even more important to me than it already is, so I can understand.
Yeah, it's super, super important to me. So, I mean, obviously, science is it's an amazing thing. And
Yeah,
catching
you
up,
got 20 more years of medical breakthroughs.
Oh yeah. So I'm not super super torn up about it, but that was definitely the catalyst that pushed me to pursue music. So.
Fantastic. And do you play a solo act always? Have you played with bands?
Yeah, so I mainly play solo. I actually just put together a backing band for an EP release that I have on the 23rd.
Okay.
I'm really excited about that. And then I also do some vocal featuring in projects around Milwaukee, like funk bands and stuff like that. So.
That's great. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that and where to find your music after we hear some of it.
Sure, awesome.
So what are you gonna play for us first?
All right. Well, the first song I am going to play is it's actually called "What I'm Good At." It's the title song of the EP that I'm releasing on the 23rd, and it is a song about what I'm good at.
Wonderful. Here's Andy with "What I'm Good At."
You took the first step, but I drew my gun first. Your eager eyes don't lie. Bullet lips and endless thirst. He said, I don't know what I'm good at, but I could be good at loving you, yeah. He said, I don't know what I'm good at, but I could be good at loving you, yeah. It's never been a breeze. Love is more than just a rush. And I know the change is on the horizon, but these turning tides won't crush us, no, because I don't know what I'm good at, but I could be good at loving you, yeah. I don't know what I'm good at, but I could be good at loving you, yeah. You know I've got big plans. The road ahead in sight, but if loving you is the greatest thing I ever do, I'm gonna be alright, love, because I don't know what I'm good at, but I could be good at loving you, yeah. I don't know what I'm good at, ooh, but I could be good at loving you, yeah.
Wow.
Wow!
Holy cow. Get this
That
girl
was
a record deal.
Good one to start with, I tell you. You set the bar high, Andy.
I think I found what you're good at.
I think I found what you're good at.
That is good. I mean, I've heard a lot of guests in
Yeah.
here, you know, and
Who did you
that's
write that
really
song about?
good.
I wrote that song about a former partner. It was a letter that was written, and yeah, it ended up being a really great song. Now I just kind of look at it as a sort of for me, it's representative of my love of just people in general.
Sure.
And music is extremely important to me. It's really relational for me. And it's something that I really, really want to do. But at the end of the day, I am only going to be remembered for the love that I either give or don't give. And so it's kind of about, like, that's what I need to be good at. It's loving people. So.
Well, you put a lot of love in that.
Thank you.
Really...
So this EP, how many tunes are going to be on your EP?
4 songs. So
Alright.
it's a little slim, but it's my first full band EP, which I'm really, really excited about. There's really, really great production on it. A friend of mine, Andrew Lynch, did all of the production on it. We had some really great session players that came in. And it's just this really great work of art now. And I'm someone that tends to be a little, I really hate like pushing my own work.
Right.
It feels a little gross.
It does, but you know, when you've
But-
done something well and you know it, you feel good about it, and I can tell that you genuinely feel good about it.
Yeah.
This isn't
yeah.
salesmanship. This is like this is your passion,
Right.
and never be ashamed of your passion.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I mean,
especially when you're good at it.
thanks, yeah. And there's so many other people that put a lot of work into it too. So it's nice. I can feel proud about it because I'm actually putting forth like, no, there's like dozens of people that have worked really hard. So yeah, I'm really excited to release it.
And yeah, and you're proud of everything that everybody did.
Yeah.
And you're always so thankful when you have a good cast of people around you that make
Yeah.
you look good at what you're good
Absolutely,
at. But you
yeah.
wouldn't look good at what you're good at if you didn't have those right people
Oh,
around
for
you.
sure.
I kind of know a little bit about that, Jim.
Yeah.
And it's fun when you get to do what you love, even if it's not. Now, do you do this as your primary occupation, or are you still
No, so I'm still
moonlighting?
working. Yeah, I'm still working a day job.
What's your day job?
I work as an accounts payable specialist at a music store, so I'm kind of still nested into
Very
the music
smart.
community. Yeah,
Very
it's
smart.
really nice.
You get
yeah.
you come in contact with other musicians, you get paid.
Oh yeah.
And someday, trust me, if you keep this up, you'll be able to quit your day job.
I'm trying.
Weird.
I would like this to be my day job. So.
What where can people find your music?
So you can stream my first EP from 2016 on Spotify. That's an acoustic EP. It's like, I think 6 songs. I kind of came up in the folk tradition. So it's a little folkier, kind of acoustic indie stuff.
That's
But I
like
did...
Americana type of.
Not quite. I mean, a little bit.
Okay.
It's kind of just middle of the road
Gotcha.
indie, I
All
guess.
right,
Yeah. But I did just release a single called Spoon-Fed Women, which I'll play for you guys today.
Awesome. Is that on Spotify
And
as well?
that's not on Spotify yet. You can find that on Bandcamp. So if you just literally search ANDII and then Bandcamp, it'll take you right to my page.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
So
you can
is it
stream...
andy.bandcamp.com or is it?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Just put Andy ANDII
Yep.
and Bandcamp. Put them together in your DuckDuckGo search, and it'll come up.
Yep, yeah, and so the old EP from 2016 will pop up, and then also this new single that I released a couple weeks ago will be on there as well. And it's been kind of fairly well received. I've been trying to get some radio play, but
Well, you got some tonight.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So what are you gonna play for us next?
I will go ahead and play that one for you. It's called Spoon-Fed Women, and I can kind of intro it a little bit. I wrote this song several years after the event that kind of inspired it. Essentially, it's sort of just about codependency and things like that in a relationship, manipulation, and how I think a lot of people can get caught up in that because they don't want to be alone or because they just want some semblance of happiness. But in doing that, you can kind of lose yourself, and instead of feeding yourself, you're being spoon-fed other things from other people. And so that's what it's kind of about, is throwing that off and being your own thing and feeding yourself. So.
I like the premise. And I'm really looking forward to the song. So this here is Andy with Spoon-Fed Women.
Spoon-fed women. Spoon-fed women. You like them spoon-fed women. You take them out to dinner. You show off all your tattoos. Explain all the meanings, yeah. Spoon-fed women. the weaker that they are, the deeper that they scar. You love to love them with your poetry, then walk away. You always told me that the timing wasn't right, that in a couple more years we could try this fight. Let me make it clear. Cause that is not the way that love works. That is not the way that love works. I'm not a spoon-fed woman, and you can't manipulate my grace. How you gonna lie to just save face? Boy, you are not a man you will never be. Well, you're the greatest bullet that I've ever dodged in life, and I just can't believe I managed to dodge you twice. Let me make it clear, I'm fine, I'm fine. 'Cause this is not the way that love works. This is not the way that love works. This is not the way that love works. I'm not a spoon-fed woman. I'm not a spoon-fed woman.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I found your Bandcamp's site while I was listening to that, and I just put it on our Facebook page.
Thank you.
Facebook.com/Ralph Nudi. If you go there, the live feed is there right now, and if you look at the live feed, there's a link right to Andy's Bandcamp site, and I'll be putting more links up there later. That's a very cool song.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely I love, if you guys get a chance, definitely listen to the production of it, the actual single, because the
Absolutely.
producer did a great job. It's a total vibe. So
Yeah, we're gonna play. We like to end our show with
awesome.
with some of our musicians' music if we can get at it. So Jim's gonna try and pull it up.
Well, I already told them.
Tell me about your instrument here.
this is a baritone ukulele. It's basically a mini guitar. A lot of people look at it because it's obviously quite sizable.
Yeah, it's bigger than a ukulele, and I saw that, but I saw
soprano
that had
or
four
tenor.
strings like one, and I was, it looks like a ukulele, but it's about as big as the first guitar I ever had when I was about 9. And
Yeah,
so,
it's like it's almost like a close to a quarter size guitar, but it's tuned just like a guitar. So the two lowest strings, the E and the A, aren't on it, but
Gotcha.
the 4 highest are.
okay.
And so you can tune the D string to be a low D or a high D. And if you tune it high, then it actually sounds a little bit more like a ukulele, whereas I have it with a low D, so it kind of has a little bit more of a resonant low tone to it.
Gotcha. Well, that's. Do you play guitar as well?
I started out on guitar, but I ended up moving to ukulele just because it was a little bit easier for me.
Sure.
So yeah, and that's kind of what I play now. And I just started about like a month and a half ago taking piano lessons.
All right,
So
here we
that's
go.
going to start to kind of be implemented as well.
Well,
into
the
some
amazing
of my
thing about
performance.
piano is it just enhances your knowledge of music theory.
Oh yeah,
so
big
much
time.
that you can, the more you learn about piano, the more you learn about writing and arranging and keys. And guitar is great, and I think guitar is, at least in the 80s growing up as a boy, it was the preferred instrument that any boy wanted to start out playing. But I remember taking music theory class my senior in high school, having to learn piano, not being a piano player, and thinking, gosh, I wish I had played piano from a younger age.
Yeah, it's definitely, the learning curve is intense. I just, even in the month and a half that I've been there, like it unlocks so much, even just the stuff that I've written previously and not really understanding the theory of it until now is really intense. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know you got some more songs in that, catalog of yours
I
between
do.
the years. So.
We're putting you to work tonight.
We are, yeah.
No worries, I don't mind. This next one is also going to be on the EP. It's
Okay.
called An Angry Woman. and it is a song that was born out of my quarter life crisis, which I think I'm coming out of really like slowly. It went really well. You'll be happy to
Quarter-life
know.
crisis.
Yeah. But so I wrote this song. I kind of decided to take a step back and just look at myself and my life. And I think we as people, our bare bones, like our scaffolding is pretty basic. It's the same, but what we put on it and what we build on it is sort of our decision throughout life. And sometimes we can put some really stinky stuff on there and we have to take it apart and rebuild it. And so I realized I was kind of becoming a little bit of a crusty person. Like,
You're too young to be crusty.
no, I was really crusty. Just kind of angry and frustrated all the time. And I really didn't like that I was going through my life that way. So I decided to just take a step back and realize that I was a really angry woman. And angry people are really hard to love. And so that's sort of the premise of the song, is just as people taking a step back and understanding that we're always a process and we can always better ourselves. So.
Wow, you have some introspective.
It's called what? Angry Broad?
An angry, yeah.
Angry Broad.
I should have named it an Angry Broad. That really would have been
What
great.
is this, a rap pack? You're going to be...
Swing, baby.
Swing. An angry woman.
Yeah.
An angry woman.
Woman, yep. It is a waltz. It is written in three.
Ooh, the angry woman wall. I mean, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's dancing around in the studio.
Is it like
Yeah.
the Godfather waltz or a little different?
Probably very different.
Here is Andy with An Angry Woman.
You guys think you can talk for a second while I tune this?
We sure can.
I believe we can do that.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, listening to Get Real Rap here on
And after this, we're gonna do a little song and dance. Put that thing right back where it came from. So help me. You got the reference right away, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that's a great reference. Put that thing back where it came from. Oh, so help me, unseen. I think we're a little bit more in tune now.
Write a song about that.
That's a song. It's from Monsters Inc. Well, that's
Oh,
'cause
it's a good scene.
You don't have kids that age.
Oh, I have kids that age.
It's John Goodman and Billy Crystal.
Classic.
And I swear they had to have ad-libbed that part.
Oh, probably. I'd believe
knowing
it.
Billy Crystal and what he does, I imagine that probably wasn't in the script, and they just started going off crazy, and then they had to animate it to catch up with what they were doing.
Right.
That's just what I imagine having happened there.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, so this is we're gonna reset here, and I like to pause between them that we can slice the video out of the show and of just your songs too. So here we are again with An Angry Woman with Andy. Right.
Tell me, what am I supposed to do when I'm conquered by the thought of you? But you won't reach out. Frustration builds inside my heart. My peace begins to fall apart, and I am plagued with doubt. I've been trying to find my way back, and I have been searching for the peace I lack. 'Cause an angry woman is hard to love. Ooh. But I've been trying to put into words the way my thoughts are most like birds that can't be caught. And as each one escapes my head, they start to pluck apart the threads, and I can't be fought. I have been trying to find my way back. And I've been searching for the peace I lack. 'Cause an angry woman is hard to love. Ooh. Darling, I cannot be blamed for animals I cannot tame. Be patient with me as I slowly deconstruct this maze and start to pick apart my ways. Someday I'll be free. I've been trying to find my way back, and I've been searching for the peace I lack. 'Cause an angry woman is hard to love. Ooh.
Wow. Remarkable.
Andy, where are you
Thank you.
playing next? Do you play out?
Yeah, I do play out. The next place I am going to be playing is actually my EP release on the 23rd.
Where's that going to be?
So it's going to be in Milwaukee at Walker's Point Music Hall on 6th and National.
What's the date for that?
23rd. It's a Friday of this month. I'm so excited about it. If you guys can come out to it, it's going to be really great. There's a $5 cover. We're going to have a mini gallery night beforehand at 7. There's going to be a food truck there.
Which food truck?
It's called My Ophelia. It's really, really great vegan comfort food.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a friend, my opinion, has one called the Brian Dutchman.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great. So this 23rd,
Mhm.
Walker's Point Music Hall. Now, where is it? That's
Yeah,
obviously
so
Walker's Point.
Yeah, it's on 6th and National. It's
Okay.
kind of in an area. They're really trying to revitalize
Okay.
that kind of Walker's Point area. It's a really great space. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's really awesome. So there's bar side and then there's the hall side. So we're
Okay.
gonna have a mini gallery. I've got a few artist friends.
So that's right off the interstate.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
gotta
like
be
right off
real
of
close to the
43.
interstate.
Mhm.
In
Yeah,
that
there's
area
actually an
there.
exit 6th and
Okay.
National. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Representing some artist friends of mine
Okay.
that are going to showcase some stuff. I've got a great opener. Her name's Ebony Loren.
Nice.
She's just like a total prodigy. She's very, very talented. And she's going to be opening for me. And then I've put together a really, really great talented backing band. I'm really excited about
That's
it.
exciting.
So
It's exciting.
yeah, it's like kind of the for
Wow.
me
It's
like
all
maybe the
coming
biggest
together.
show. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just going to be one rung in the ladder.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so
hopefully.
it
Yeah.
will be. It will be. So after the 23rd, where are you playing after that?
After the 23rd, actually, the following weekend on the 30th, I'm going to be playing my first show with a project that I just joined up with called Conscious Congress.
Okay.
It's kind of a funk jam band sort of thing.
Nice.
Now, funk is my probably favorite genre.
Oh, funk is... I've fallen for funk really hard the last couple years. And so, like,
anybody who's worked with me in any sort of media, including Ray Nell, my video producer, and Jim knows that. I'm always gravitating toward funk for any projects that
There's
I'm doing.
different music that moves me, but really moves me is funk.
Oh, big time,
Funk
big
moves
time.
my body.
I remember going
Sure.
to see George Clinton in Toledo, Ohio, when I first started dating my wife.
Yeah.
And I had liked funk before that, but I didn't really know that I liked
Sure.
funk or knew how much.
Mhm.
And I
bet that was an experience.
Oh my goodness, it was. There was a lot going on in the air there, if you know. What I
I'm
mean.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was it was such a good show.
Kind of a sweet
Yeah.
smell to that concert.
It was, and it was an indoor concert too. And,
Wow.
Normally
No,
that doesn't happen at indoor venues.
You're
But
dealing with the funk crowd.
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, funk crowds, they'll
they're
push
gonna
it
get funky.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah,
light
so
something up.
I'm really excited about that show.
You really
It's gonna
can't
be
funk
kind
it
of
up by yourself with a ukulele, I'm sure. But,
No, yeah, that's why I'm super. I mean, funk like this project, I'm really, really looking forward to. So definitely.
So you're funk and indie.
Yep, yeah, kind of in between. I would say kind of like funk pop. Yeah.
Yeah, but funk and indie sounds almost like you're swearing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I know you can get away with it, and the FCC can't get mad at you for it.
I caught that, Ralph, and I realized you repeated yourself again too.
Yes.
Well, that's for the people living in Rio Linda. You know, they need to hear twice.
I think on that note, we're going to take a break.
We are back
We're
after
gonna
this
take a
break
break
with a little more Andy.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's the name of your new one.
A little more Andy. I like that. Funk and indie. I think she should call it funk and indie.
Funk and indie.
I want credit for that if you name your album that.
All
Funk
right,
and indie.
I will put you in the credits.
Yeah, thanks Ralph for naming my album.
What about that song Under the Rainbow? Where
When you get
bluebirds
when you
fly?
get
I think
super
can
famous,
do
you got to
that
promise me you're going to come back and
really
play.
good.
What's that?
When you get real famous, you got to promise me you're going to come back and play.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That
no.
stage out there
Sure.
is marvelous.
No,
I'd love to
yeah,
play
awesome.
out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're,
so I was reading some of the people that have played out there. That's pretty awesome.
So I found your page. Awesome.
Oh, I put your page. I like your page as our page,
Awesome.
and I shared your event on our page as
That's
well.
awesome. Cool,
So-
cool. Yeah, looking forward to. Oh, yeah, and I'll have to talk about. You can pre-order the physical copies too. I'm gonna have
Nice.
physical copies of the EP there. So
Good.
yeah.
Good.
My funny face on there. I like drew my own EP
I think
cover.
people need to start burning stuff on vinyl in case the internet ever goes down permanently. Because I could see someday the governments of the world destroying the internet on purpose. Because
It's gonna tinfoil.
it's going to take stuff too far. They're just blow it all up. What do you think? Am I wrong?
Oh, streaming
Could.
is
We got
just
5G
an
coming
animal
out, though.
within itself.
It is. It's good because more people can get exposed to a lot more than.
There's a lot more saturation now too.
That's the downside.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to have about 18 minutes.
Right. So we'll chit chat back and forth for a while before you play again. Hey Steve, grab some headphones. That way you can just kind of chime in there with Andy.
Sure.
If you got to move that chair on the other side.
Yeah,
right now,
actually,
we'll go ahead.
yeah, we'll do that then.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, my back! I threw my back out. Believe it or
And
not.
you got to give me enough time. Let me know
Or do you
if we need to have her play it, so we still
Well,
have enough time to play one of her songs as an outro.
Going
So-
no, I mean,
Right. I was going to play
he said if you're trying to chime
the
in.
recorded version of Something That Woman
Oh
for
yeah,
the
that would be
outro.
great. That'd be awesome.
So that's like a 3-minute tune, something, and then maybe at 2 minutes, or a minute and a half, we'll start it
Yep. Perfect.
underneath you, so you
Yeah,
know
let's start
that.
so we know we're going out.
so
That's
we know
perfect.
we're going out.
That's perfect.
And I requested friendship from you on Facebook. You don't have to.
Yeah,
you don't,
no,
it's up to you.
absolutely,
It's up to
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about an event that I'm doing that I think I already have fully booked for bands, but I'd love for you to commit to coming to it if you can, if it works in your schedule. On September 28th, it's for human trafficking. I'll talk about it on the air,
Absolutely, yeah.
which is a big passion of mine. We'll talk about it more on the air. But even if you come, even if
good
you
idea.
just come visit, we'll talk there.
Absolutely.
Got a little more Joe Jackson there playing. Thanks to Jim over here who
Yeah.
told us it's Joe's birthday today, huh?
Yeah, I like to reach in there, see whose birthday it is, or something come up, and such a artist like Joe Jackson, which many people know who he is, but some people don't know how wonderful he is.
I think there's a lot of people that don't know who he is, but when they hear his music, they know
Oh
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
this
He's,
is
he's one
here.
of those.
He's had a few hits in the '80s and plays more of a jazzy type of piano, and it's amazing.
Have you
It's a
listened to any of his
vibe.
stuff before, Andy?
I can't say that I have. Like, no, not a bunch. I mean, yeah, when you played the songs, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I know that, but
song.
yeah, but not. I've never.
I think it's
intensively
important that
listened.
young musicians hang around with a bunch of old guys
Oh,
or
yeah.
old music buffs because
Mhm.
you'll get re-exposed to stuff that you don't hear on the radio.
Yeah.
And
Why, Dave? Now you should listen to that rock and roll
Well, that's how I
music.
got into funk because I
Sure.
started. I did, and sometimes I still do. There's a great funk band out of Milwaukee called Groove Grease.
Okay.
And so sometimes I will do vocal work with them,
Mm.
and I kind of just started to dip my toes a little bit. They're like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, we need a singer," and I was like, "Okay, I'll play some tunes." And they would throw them at me, and I'd listen to them and
Mhm.
learn them. And then I just kind of fell down the rabbit hole of funk, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, it's great!"
it is just
You
Yeah.
ever, Fat Function? You heard Fat Function on
No.
Madison? They're amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to.
They also
I'll
play
have
with the band Steely Dane.
Okay,
They
yeah.
play the covers.
Are they a Steely Dan cover band or what?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Steely Dan is one that just doesn't grab me, and I know
No?
it grabs a lot of people. I mean, there's a couple songs, but yeah, I don't know
It's
why.
just-
Because I
I
like most of
dig
the
it.
Steely
genre.
Dan's a music of its own. There's
Sure.
not rock. You know, is it rock? Is it
Right.
funk? Is it soul? Is it what?
Mhm.
It's a New York sound.
They're insanely talented. I just and I recognize the talent, and it
Mhm.
just doesn't grab me if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, sometimes like music is it's very energetic and very relational. So sometimes, I mean, if it doesn't grab you, it doesn't grab you. You know,
Right.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. But yeah, intergenerational stuff is so good. Like I grew up in the '80s,
Yeah.
but I listened to a lot of '60s music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably my other favorite genre. Is just all the angry anti-war music. I love it,
Yeah.
even though I don't. That whole group of people and I probably don't agree on much. We agree on the
Sure.
music.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
agree on some things,
It's
but
always a common
Sure.
ground.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and it
Music is
becomes a
always
common ground. It's one of the reasons that I love the idea of having music on my show is because sometimes I'm going to talk about things that not everybody who's listening is necessarily going to agree with me on.
Yeah.
But I think people are too polarizing even when they state their opinion.
For sure.
And when you bring in a little music, chances are most musicians that are going to come in are going to have a different mindset, a different point of view than I do. And it's my opportunity to stay connected and not end up living in an echo chamber,
Yeah,
on the air
absolutely.
where I'm just repeating what I say over and over again, and everybody, a bunch of yes people call in and repeat that. So we need musicians, we need artists in this world, and it makes this world a little more. It makes an ugly world a little prettier sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes it makes a pretty world a little uglier too, just depending on where you are.
Depending, yeah, for sure.
And speaking of a beautiful world, we're doing a music festival that we have all scheduled out on September 28th at the Kenosha Band Shop in Moyer Park. It's called Our Songs of Freedom. You can go to oursongsofreedom.org to get tickets. If you're listening, please do. It's going to be headlined by Betsy Aid. I don't know if you know who she is or not, but she is a Kenosha musician who
Nice,
made
okay.
on The Voice
Great.
and did really, really well. And she's came here and played, and she's insanely talented. But all the proceeds go to Operation Underground Railroad, which is a nonprofit group that goes and rescues children around the world who are in sex trafficking. As young as 4 and 5 years old. Believe it or not. It's such a horrendous thing that's happening. So I'm trying to bring some beauty to the world that day, but also raise money so that these people can rescue these children from these horrible circumstances. And it's Operation Underground Railroad, if you want to look it up on Google. They're a fantastic organization. And I know you heard us talking about this Epstein case earlier today, but were you aware, really deeply aware of how pervasive this problem was even 6 months ago or a year ago?
No, honestly, this is definitely a case that has kind of come to the forefront, obviously, in my sphere, and one that I would like to look into a little bit more. I think I've kind of been running around like a chicken with my head cut off the last few weeks, but I did see the news, and it's very compelling. It's very interesting, and I think at the end of the day, I think that there's cause to be a little bitter about it, just because I think I don't really feel like it's necessarily justice at this point, but I think that those who are also involved, he didn't do this alone,
No, there are over 2 million children
Yeah.
that are that are trafficked. Every 30 seconds in this world, a child is taken and sold into slavery. There are more people in slavery today than when slavery was legal in the United States of America. That's a really, really hard thing to grasp, and something that I didn't know 6 months ago.
Right.
And it's once you know it, you can't unknow it. You know it's there, and you either choose to do something about it or you choose not to do something about it. And so I decided to dedicate a considerable portion of my life to this. Obviously, I still have to make a living. I still have to raise children, and all of that. But my creative efforts, all of that, I'm always thinking about how can I be even more successful so that I can give more. That is really it drives me forward in ways that I've never been driven forward in the past. And I have 6 of my own children. I have a heart for children, and to think that people could do that on purpose is just
it's horrendous.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So, and we need beautiful things and beautiful music in the world and all that to unplug from all that, because if you think about it too much, you'll be depressed. But it's very real.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that music and art have a really central. I mean, it should rather. I don't think that it always does, but I think that it definitely is a common ground for things like this. Just because music is, it's so community based and it's so relational. And I think even when the subject matter of music maybe isn't necessarily geared towards what's happening in the world, I think that it creates sort of this oasis for all of us to come together. It's sort of this invisible space that we all come to. And it's like you said, I mean, people from across the aisle can come together and really relate in a way that you can't when you're so polarized. So,
Right. And we need to become less polarized.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Because this polarization is designed to ruin the country. I believe that. I believe that outside forces want to divide us. And the more people start to wake up and realize that that's the case, the more you realize, hey, I disagree with that person, but we both love our neighborhood, our community, our country. And when people start thinking about it in those terms, adding some love back into the mix, I think that we solve a lot of problems.
For sure, yeah. Love is the cure, for sure.
It is. It is the cure. I would love for you to play another song for us.
I can do that. Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
We've got about a couple of minutes, and then we got plenty of time. We'll chit chat for a little bit more, and maybe Jim can throw some facts about Joe Jackson when you get done here. And we can talk about Joe. Yeah, I want to know all about Joe Jackson. It's his birthday.
All right. Do you guys want to hear a song about how bad I am at drinking socially, or do you want to hear a song about the ending of a relationship and going kind of crazy?
No, drinking. That's
Okay.
drinking.
All right. So I wrote this song because obviously as a musician I frequent bars a lot and I wanted to write a drinking song.
Nice.
But I really until recently actually I didn't go out a whole lot. When I would go out to bars, I rarely drank. I just kind of had a little bit of an aversion to it for a while. And so I wanted to write a drinking song that was true to me and my quirkiness and my awkwardness of going to public spaces where people are drinking and feeling like really out of place. So this song is called Drink Up My Love.
Nice. All right.
Burning water, take the wheel. Come on, tell me how to feel. Come on, show me what is real. Drifting heads and swimming eyes, every wave a different size. This is Saturday's disguise. You don't know what to do. So let's drink up my love, drink up my love. Drink up my love, drink up my love. Haven't heard this song in years. Are we allowed to dance in here? Is IPA a type of beer? I probably should have just stayed in with my whiskey and my sin. Cause what's the point if I can't win? I don't know why I try. Let's drink up my love, drink up my love. Drink up my love, drink up my love. We are so confused. We don't know what to do. Let's drink up my love, drink up my love. Drink up my love, drink up my love.
Yeah, that's a fun song.
Thanks. I do know what an IPA is.
Yeah, that's
You
funny.
have me.
Such
I was
a
going to
funny
say
line.
you took my punchline. I was going to say you have me at IPA.
That was great. That was
I
great.
live for IPAs.
And folks listening, you should look on her face when she sings that line too.
Oh.
She's laughing. She's a
Loved
big
it.
smile on the face.
Yeah, no, it's. I just think it's. I get a
such a
kick
fun
out of it.
thing.
Maybe
It's-
people are like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's funny."
no,
but
that's
fantastic.
Yeah, here I was trying to post a picture of you on my Instagram, and I had to look. I had to stop and
Yeah.
look at you, make eye contact when you got to the IPA line because
Yeah.
Hilarious.
IPA made me love beer.
Yeah, really.
Oh yeah.
It's like this. I don't know. I just don't know what like. I'm not like a connoisseur, you know.
Right,
like
right.
I am very simple when it comes to
Yeah.
my taste. You know, usually like whiskey and a light beer is
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
where I'm at.
I
so.
got introduced to this new IPA in Florida last week. I was on vacation from Sweetwater Brewery, which is out of Atlanta, and it's called 420 Strain IPA,
420 strain.
and it has terpenes from cannabis
Yeah, 420.
What?
in it.
Wow.
And the
Yes, please.
bar, they were pouring tappers of it at the bar at the resort that we were at,
Mhm.
which caters to children, okay? But all of a sudden I kept smelling weed. And I'm like, what the heck? I keep smelling weed. And it was the beer.
No way.
And I drank a lot of it.
Nice.
Oh, yes. It was so good.
And ate so many pretzels.
So many pretzels.
Now, it does not have THC in it.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
But the smell, and I always thought that that's a really good pairing anyway, cannabis and IPAs, because
Mhm.
hops and cannabis come from the same family.
Yeah.
They're both strong. You know, if I were to smoke, I would probably want to have an IPA.
Yeah.
And you know, I imagine that anyway. Wink, wink. So when that smell wafted over to the swimming pool where my kids were lounging in the lazy river, I said, I'm going to get lazy on the lounge chairs with my 420 strain IPA.
Nice. Nice.
And I
Good
hope my
choice.
wife's listening right now because she'll be laughing her butt off. But so when you got to that line there, it was just that I identified with it immediately.
Yeah. It's a fun song because it's true to me, but also I think like
Right.
even people that are comfortable in those
Yeah.
situations, I think still have some social
Right.
anxiety. So
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like sometimes I don't know if I should dance.
I get all the time. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, how can you? I'm like, no, I'm very awkward around
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in social situations.
There's a lot of people who are, a lot of artists, a lot of radio people, a lot of television people. Once they get around people and they're off, you know, and they're turned off, it's hard. It's like you either have to be turned on or turned off. It's like you almost don't want to interact with people when you know you're not turned on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If that makes any.
No,
if
I
that makes any
totally,
sense at
yeah. I'm a little bit of like I think I don't know if it's like an official term, but like ambivert. So like you're kind of introverted
Mhm.
and you're also extroverted.
I'm
and
the
so,
most introverted extrovert you've ever met.
yeah. So
You
I'm
know?
definitely like, I'm a homebody. I like being
Mhm.
at home. I like being out by myself and creating things. But I also like really am like a little bit of like an energy vampire. I definitely feed off of other people.
Sure,
so
Bingo.
it's-
absolutely.
Bingo,
And,
yeah.
and you have to perform. You have to, you know, I mean.
right. Yeah. So I kind of have to find a way to be good at
Well,
being
that's
around
why
people.
I act. I do comedy. I
Oh,
do
nice,
that
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
it's like sometimes I don't know. I have to.
Right. Yeah.
You
Just
know,
kinda-
or it's just like I force myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once you
know,
step on,
sometimes.
once
Well,
you
once I
step
step
on
on stage,
It falls away
I'm like,
usually,
oh,
yeah.
You know, I think that goes back to having that confidence in your music to say, hey, come see me.
Yeah.
Come see thing. I mean, because I did a comedy show. It's like, should I come to your comedy show? I'm like, yeah, you should
Yeah.
because you know we're actually funny, you know,
Right,
and we
yeah.
are, and we're very good in the group that I work with. But you know, it's just to have that confidence that yes, you will enjoy yourself and you will
Yeah.
enjoy your music. And I mean, it's having that confidence.
Well, yeah, you kind of almost have to take yourself seriously first
Yeah.
before anybody else is going to take you seriously.
Mhm.
But it's a tough position to be in as like kind of an introvert because
Mhm.
you don't want to put yourself out there and be like, yeah, like look at me,
Yeah.
look at my stuff. But at the same time,
you have to.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah,
look
I
at
mean,
me,
you have
look at my
to.
stuff.
Yeah,
Right,
you have
exactly.
to.
You
So,
gotta sell ourselves.
here I am.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how many hours you spend quiet and alone
Mhm.
with your mind in order to create what looks like it came natural out of
Yeah.
you when it's ready to do, but it doesn't come out that naturally.
Mhm.
It takes, you know, I have to be alone for 2 hours before the show every week. Really. And today I did it here. Sometimes I do it at my office, but I pack up, I leave my house, I say goodbye to my wife and kids. I tell my kids I'll see them in the morning.
Mhm.
I ask my wife to be waiting up for me when I get home. And I go and sometimes I just sit. Sometimes I look things up, but it takes an incredible. It's like you almost have to get the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's meditation is what it is. Like you have to definitely prepare yourself, and a lot of the stuff that I write, I mean, really all the stuff that I write comes from a very meditative place. So I think you kind of almost have to bring yourself back there before you.
What's like the biggest crowd you played?
Oh God, I don't know. I've played at Summerfest for 6 years.
Okay.
I would say probably somewhere at Summerfest was the biggest crowd I ever played. I'm probably forgetting something really huge. You know, I'm a little fish in a big pond, so.
Right, well,
But I mean, you know, a couple hundred, like 100 maybe.
A few hundred people,
yeah.
this or that, you know.
Here or there,
There's something
yeah.
about performing in front of a big crowd, and then at the end of the night, you had a great night, everybody's having fun, and then it shuts off and you go home.
Yeah.
And you're going home, and you got this little buzz in your head, you know, and it's just.
For all the noise.
Yeah, it's kind of like, now what? You
yeah.
know, I mean, if you don't have anyone to go home to,
yeah.
you know, this
Yeah.
and that, and it's kind of like, in bed. Okay, well, that was great. That was great. I guess I'll try to go to sleep now.
Yeah, no, I try to go to
with
sleep.
With an adrenaline rush still surging through your veins.
Surging through your veins. I mean,
yeah, usually after a show, I'm up for a while. My cat also is of no help to me there.
Okay.
She's really psycho, so.
That's why sometimes I end up going to Sullivan's after the show to have a beer or two.
Decompress.
Yeah, just you can decompress. It's a little hole in the wall bar around the corner.
Nice.
And, you know, no one really knows anything about why I'm there. I'm just sitting there.
I saw your car there last week.
I was in Florida last week.
Oh, week before.
Who's your biggest musical influence?
Oh.
I hear a little Nora Jones in there. I hope you take it as a compliment.
I do. I would not say she's one of the biggest influences, but I did grow up listening to a lot. She was one of the musicians that was definitely a little bit on repeat. I came up with my my family. I listened to a lot of R&B and older stuff and jazz and even going back to like Sinatra, stuff like that. So jazz vocalists were pretty important to me when I was a little younger, and then I kind of
it's the way they sing. They
yeah.
give a little attitude to themselves. I noticed that in your music when you first
yeah,
songs,
I try to.
The way you pronounce things, and just and it's great, by the way.
Thank you.
I really enjoy that. It's a little something different, you know, than the regular stuff that's put.
I'm trying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but
you're gonna kill. You just need your music just has to get in front of the right set of ears, and your star is gonna rise.
Any other airplay that you get? I mean, the 88.9 help you out at all?
I sent them my event, and they posted it on their calendar. 88.9 did. But I have to send a CD to Justin Barney, who does a lot of the Milwaukee music, but I need to get him a physical copy, I think. So yeah, that's I'm hoping to get some great radio play in Milwaukee too. I do get some stuff on River West Radio, 104.1 in River West.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Awesome. So I guess about it.
That is. That's we are all out of time on Get Real with Ralph. We decided we're gonna take it out with an Andy song.
Spoon-fed woman.
Spoon-fed woman. Thank you for tuning in. That's a wrap, guys.
Sounds really good on the air. I sound good.
You should have heard her in the headphones. You're sitting over there. I'm like, she sounded good, but she sounded really. I had to take, and then I saw you. I took the headphones off because I wanted to hear what you were experiencing. But in the headphones, oh my god, you were. Come here. That was.
Thank you so much.
That was really,
Thank
really.
you. That was awesome. It's not cool to be here. So.
Well,
this is only my second radio interview.
There's been a lot of guests here, and you know, I didn't want to say anything. The one they were trying, but they really weren't that good.
Oh yeah, we had. That was probably.
You gave them a try.
Yeah. And that was one of the. I've had mostly really, really good acts, but there's been a couple that struggled.
Yeah, and you can
it's hard
tell
to do.
There's a different level. Like I have racehorses, and I know which ones are bad, which ones are good, based on how they train and stuff. I mean, bad analogy, but you can tell you're a higher class of a singer compared to some of the other ones that have been in here.
Sounds so good with the band behind you, those guys.
Yeah, he did a really great job.
I can't wait to hear your
just
funk.
so
I
like,
yeah,
it's definitely poppy. I have to kind of I've been reconciling with that because
LIP Kenosha, streaming live at WLIP.com.